Here we are with Matt Kolodzik. Matt, thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
Of course.
Are you at school right now? Or in
No,
Princeton?
I'm actually in an apartment right down the road from Princeton.
Right down the road. So I see the periodic table. Are you studying right now, even though you're on a gap year?
Yeah, I am actually. I am taking some online courses through a program called Coursera, and then I'm also walking myself through all the material that I'm going to have next year. I just scooped it up after my friends were done with the classes last semester, so that's
Okay.
coming in handy.
So, in case the viewers don't know, you're taking a gap year, you're working out, but you're not actually officially enrolled in Princeton. Can you tell me what your mindset is behind making this choice?
Yeah. So it kind of stemmed out of I guess it stemmed out of when my brother was at Princeton. He came to Princeton in the way he liked to describe it when we were talking during my college decision was that he came out of the process of high school kind of fresh, and he just wishes there were more things that he had known, just more experience in general. Um, Obviously, my brother came really close to AAing. I think he was round to 12 twice.
Now, he's the
Um,
same guy that I've seen in your corner coaching you this year?
oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
And he basically said, I think it would be a really good idea for you to take a year off just to focus on wrestling, and also focus on school, so that I have the experience coming into the entire thing. Now, obviously, I'd had a bunch more, I think, a little bit more knowledge. Just from my years at Blair and working with the guys at Blair, working with Coach Buxton when I would go to his club, stuff like that. But the gap year process was kind of like, hey, all these other kids in Big Ten schools get a redshirt year, and sometimes they even have an injury redshirt year after that. God forbid I get hurt,
Yeah.
but I do want a year of experience under my belt, and that's what I did. I took it, and the only reason I have to not go to school is because Princeton doesn't let you not compete if you're healthy and are enrolled.
Right.
So that's what ended up happening.
So I've seen you at a bunch of tournaments. Can you tell me how your season went this year?
Yeah. So it started out, I think, with
Bearcat?
Binghamton Open, and
Yeah.
that was nice because the Princeton team was there, and I got to hang around with them, talk with the guys. My brother was my coach.
Yep.
Brother was in the corner. It was kind of funny because the coaches at Princeton would rag on him, calling him Coach Kolodzik and all that. My dad was there too, and it was just a good weekend altogether. I did lose to Todd Preston of Harvard in the either semis or quarters. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Another Blair guy, tough guy. He actually he hosted me on my recruiting trip to Harvard,
Oh, really?
which is kind of funny. It was a good tournament, but it introduced me to college wrestling. I had a good overtime win against Will Cole of Cornell. Wrestled a couple tough guys. My first round match was a kid from Rutgers who was pretty tough. It was just a good introduction to college wrestling, and then from there I just went to all the opens with a good mentality that, hey, I'm in this, and I'm going to continue to dominate. And I think that's what I did. I had a few losses here and there that I wish I could have redeemed or salvaged at the end, but it works out. And at the end of the day, it's just more experience.
Was your brother in your corner for all your matches?
He couldn't make it for all of the open tournaments, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them. He couldn't make it to Midlands, but we went to, I think, Lock Haven together. We went to Penn State Open.
Yeah.
My dad was actually in my corner at Penn State Open. That's always entertaining.
Okay.
My dad's been my coach in high school. I didn't have a team, or not in high school, my freshman year
Okay.
of high school in Ohio. It was a one-man team, private school. I'd take off from school every day after practice and go work out with the Graham guys, actually.
Okay.
And I won a state title as a one-man team, and that was kind of fun, but it was also challenging. So that's why I went to Blair. In terms of coaching, my dad, my brother, and my corner are familiar. I'm used to it, and I love it.
Was it hard staying motivated this year without being part of the Princeton team?
Absolutely not. It was very easy to just kind of shift into gear and just keep on plugging away. I schedule, or I guess Coach Dubuque would schedule the RTC practices at Princeton every day. It's called Princeton Amateur Wrestling Society. PAWS is the acronym.
Yep.
And every day I'd have my RTC practice. Sometimes I'd have a lift in the morning that I'd get. Either, when I could get into the wrestling room, I'd go there, or I'd go to a gym down the road. I was basically getting 3 workouts a day, cardio, lift, and wrestling. And then the time that I wasn't spending in the Princeton room, I was going down to Buxton's club and either helping coach with Buxton.
In the Lehigh Valley or in Jersey?
In Jersey.
Jersey.
In Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, his new club's in Randolph right now. It used to be in Sparta.
Okay.
But, I mean, I say coach, that's a loose term. Coach Buxton is the ultimate coach. I just kind of walk around and observe. And that was when, I couldn't handle another practice that day. And when I could, I'd wrestle, roll around with guys like Kyle Beardumful and just I'm forgetting his name, kid from Del Barton. Farrell, Nick Farrell.
There you go. So, non-traditional route. You're not with a team. You're motivating yourself. Where does your drive come from?
I'd like to say it's solely me, but that'd be a lie.
Okay.
My dad is always on me. He is always there for motivation, always there with advice, and that's a good thing. It can also be a bit of a bear down when you're like, Dad, come on, stop. But my dad is the reason, not only that I'm in this sport, but also that I'm the way that I am. He drives me to do everything that I need to do and that I should do, and he drives me to do it to the highest level. I wouldn't be where I am without my dad, and to the same effect, my brother. My mom's always been there for support too, but if I had to name one person, it'd be my dad.
Gotcha. So, speaking of which, driving, coming up right now, you've got a couple of things it looks like on your schedule. So you're going to go to Iowa for the Olympic trials, and then Vegas for the
last chance qualifier in a week and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also you're going to go to Vegas for the junior world team?
Mm-hmm. So the goal is to make the junior world team, and then head out to France for junior worlds in August, I think it is.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a lot in between me and France, but that's just the fun of it right there is the challenge. And I'm hitting a peak. I kind of peaked early, right in the middle of the season. Had a good Midlands tournament, not quite as well as I would have hoped, but still a good Midlands tournament. And then I think I kind of plateaued for a while this year. And now I'm hitting a peak again, and I can feel it. And I'm just really grooving, and I'm really happy with the way I'm wrestling. I can't wait to go to Last Chance. I can't wait to go to Vegas, and then go to Texas for Junior World Team trials.
Junior World Team, that's right, in Texas too. You wrestle folk. You wrestle freestyle. Do you wrestle Greco?
I don't. I'd like to learn to throw, though. Coach Heflin's definitely tried.
He's a big thrower. Well, what do you like? Do you like freestyle more than folk? I mean, it's kind of trendy right now for guys to say that. What's your favorite style? Why? And
ooh, that's a good question. I'd have to say I do like freestyle more. It's a different feel in the appreciation you get for just positions you won't get put in folk style. It's there. It definitely makes you think about the sport in a new way. And at the end of the day, that's the fun of it, just figuring out new things and thinking in new ways about new situations. And that's what's fun in wrestling in general for me. So for that reason, I'd have to say freestyle.
Okay. When did you start wrestling freestyle?
I think maybe my 3rd or 4th year into wrestling, which isn't saying much. My dad had me rolling around on the mats when I was like 4 or 5. So I'd say around 6 or 7, I was getting into freestyle. Going to all the local little kids club tournaments, and it was a fun time.
So what was fun about it? What did you like about wrestling when you were a kid?
To be honest, the fact that I'd come off the mat and all the guys, whether it was my dad or my coaches at the kids club, would be like, "Oh, great job," and I'd be like, "For what?" I'm just going out there and wrestling. When I wrestle, I say this to a lot of the kids that I might be in the corner for. They ask me how I get prepared for a match. And I'm thinking, well, there's no way to avoid the fact that you're about to go head-to-head against some guy that wants to kick your ass. And quite frankly, it's scary. That's a scary proposition. And so what I tell all the guys and what I tell myself before a match is let the fear come into you. Let the fear come into you, recognize it, and then let it motivate you. And so I just get amped up, and that was the funnest part for me growing up, is just getting amped up, going out there, wrestling, getting off the mat, and getting congratulated. It was perfect.
Right. Your fear doesn't have to equal disbelief.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Um, and that a lot of kids, especially young kids, it does equal disbelief because they get overwhelmed by it. But it's, you got to really use it to motivate you. You can't get rid of the butterflies in your stomach. You just have to sort of organize them.
Exactly.
So you started pretty young. When did you take it seriously? Any wrestling, not just freestyle.
I guess that's when I started winning. To be honest, I always remember going and watching my brother's practices at Graham High School, and Jeff Jordan was very, very influential in both of our styles, in both of our early development, with the camps that he runs and with the club that he runs. And I would go and watch him, and then I'd go do push-ups with the guys after practice, and that was always fun. And then eventually, it was kind of this weird thing where I was like, oh, now I'm out there. I'm the guy wrestling. It's not just my brother.
Right.
It's me. And at that point, just kind of a little tiny mental, an idea popped into my head. And I guess that was the point, to get those ideas rolling around where, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
I am doing this. When I started winning tournaments, it just kind of snowballed from there. And it was perfect. I had a great time doing it.
So, love the sport. You're just about to enter, senior and junior level competitions here. What have you learned? So every level, it seems like you learn something. Did you learn anything about yourself, wrestling? Entering all these college tournaments this year.
Yep. Yeah, I did. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Wrestling doesn't have to be that go hard grind all the time. I'd say that's probably about 80% of it. The other 20%, the most fun part of it, I think, is the technical aspect, where if you can figure out how to beat a guy, make in-match adjustments, and figure out new technique to adapt your style and grow your toolkit, I guess is the phrase I would use. That's not only fun, but it's incredibly useful. So coming in to all these tournaments, I don't think I knew as well how to make in-match adjustments and then go back and study. I've watched so much film, whether it's of me or international guys. I think Coach Harris broke out the VHS tapes a couple weeks ago. It was so much fun, and we just watched old wrestling. And watching my own film, making in-match adjustments, and then making adjustments when I headed into practice on Monday after the tournament. That's the biggest lesson I've learned. I've been fortunate because I have the time to do that right now.
Yeah. It's something that's critical. You could see this year at NCAAs, some kids who did not make that, or coaches, and it's really a critical thing to be able to adjust either prior or during. Speaking of which, did you watch NCAA Championships?
Oh yeah, I was out there all 3 days. I watched every round.
What were some of your takeaway thoughts?
That the tournament is not easy, and good guys can fall.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at 74. You look at an old teammate of mine, McKenna. He almost lost in the first round. I told him he nearly gave me a heart attack. It's just that the tournament is tough.
Yeah.
And if you go in there not accepting that fact, it's almost the same thing as match preparation. Not accepting the fact that you're going to be in some bad places, and you're going to need to worm your way out of them and figure out what's wrong and fix the problem. Then you can fail. I think one example of a guy who completely applied this principle to perfection during his NCAA tournament is Terrell. He got a standing ovation, and he lost to Tomasello.
Yeah.
And everybody knows why. He just wrestled his butt off during
that. Wrestled his heart out. He's exciting and aggressive. Yeah. No fear.
No fear, and absolutely no regrets from him afterwards, and that's perfect. That's why that kid did well.
Yeah,
and that's the mentality that I got to approach my NCAA tournament with, and I guess a little under 365 days here.
You mentioned watching old tape and watching the NCAAs. Are there wrestlers that you enjoy, whether they're right now competing or in the past, that you enjoy watching and find exciting or interesting?
I always got to mention Burroughs because, and I've said this before, he wrestles a lot like I don't wrestle. Obviously, I don't have the explosiveness of him. I don't think anybody does. But at the end of the day, it's always fun to watch that thing that those things that you want to have, and see where you can take it. Coach Buxton has recently got me interested in this guy from Russia. He took third at Worlds last year. His name's Gadayev.
Oh, sure.
He was in the semis.
Uh-huh.
I love watching Gadayev. Lots of Russians. I love watching Sadiev. And he's the guy that Ayers and I were watching earlier. And then other than that, just watching some good old American guys. You know, the Dakes, the Taylors. It's funny, they're all at the same weight that I'm mentioning.
Yeah.
I guess I love that weight class. But just all those guys, it's funny, you know, if I do well at Last Chance, or even if he's there, I might wrestle Metcalf. And that's always fun, because I love watching Metcalf. He's the type of guy that just doesn't care. He goes out there and he beats on your head and he gets the takedown.
Yeah.
It's weird. I always grew up watching him. He was always a guy that people were like, oh, look at Metcalf. The fact that I might get to wrestle him would be fun.
Right.
And it's the same thing. That doesn't intimidate me. That doesn't strike fear into my heart. It makes me happy and it makes me motivated. I want to go out there and see what I can do, and I want to shake up some rankings.
Gotcha. Well, good luck with that. Coach Ayers has put together a pretty solid Princeton team, and I'm pretty sure all the qualifiers are coming back. You'll be back there. You'll be there next year. Can you talk about the Princeton room, the coaches, and just the attitude of that program? Because they seem to have, really taken a step up, and they got a tough schedule.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd have to devote the technical aspects of pretty much everything that goes on in the program is Coach Ayers. He knows what he's doing, and not only does he know wrestling, he knows how to run a program, he knows how to run a team, and he knows how to network and make all the little things happen that need to happen for a program to be successful. I work primarily with Coach Dubuque because I guess he's more around my side.
Sure.
He's great in the room. I mean, he's been my primary coach when I actually go in to wrestle. And we do technique every Tuesday, Thursday, in addition to regular practice. He's phenomenal. He's just a wealth of knowledge. Coach Gray is great because he freaking he's just tough, man. He'll go in there and he'll go a 30-minute go and he won't give you an inch. And that's what's great about him, because you got to learn when you're in those situations. You can't back down. And Coach Gray doesn't let you.
Yeah.
And Nick Heflin's kind of the same way. He's been mostly my lifting coach this year, but he's also taught me a couple upper body things. And he's a great mentality to have in the room. You know, we've had some guys quit this year because Coach Heflin hasn't let them slide in terms of, if you're dogging it during practice, he'll put you on the bike and make you do bike sprints. And we've had a couple kids quit because of that. Net, not that I like to see guys kind of shy away from wrestling, but I think that's a good thing for the program. I think it's good to make sure that nothing gets by that shouldn't. And because of that, our program's just been climbing and climbing. You know, the results were great this year with Harner AA. I think that was perfect. I want to see five or six guys up on that podium, and I want to be at the top of it. And right now, with all those guys I just mentioned, I think we can do it.
Nice. Yeah, I made it to a couple matches at Princeton, and the Lehigh match, I'm not sure if you were there. I mean, it's quite a scene going on. I mean, there's some rowdy fans, and they weren't all just Lehigh fans. I mean, you guys had, a bunch of people screaming for your team, and it was a lot of fun watching a match at, not at Jadwin. What's the gym? Dillon, that's it. Great scene. So I recommend it if you're close by to come check out the team. The thing I wanted to go out on was, do you have goals? Next 4 years, 5 years?
Do I have goals? Yeah. Heck yeah.
Are they written down?
They are written down.
Can you show them to me?
They're not here. They're in my locker.
Okay. Can you tell us what they are?
Yeah. I mean, I have goals that I have written down. It's right in front of my locker that I look at every day. And Coach Ayers has a general team list of goals that he has. At the top of that list is to win an NCAA title. And I know that I'm not the first guy, and I won't be the last to say that, but I truly mean it. You talk to any coach across the country, and they say, our goal is to win a team championship. Our goal is to get you at the top of the podium. But when it comes down to it, it's whether, you can say that, it's whether you actually believe it. And here, one second. Sorry, I got a little cold.
No problem.
I do believe it. And every day when I go into practice, I come out thinking I got better today. So at the top of that list is winning an NCAA championship. And then there are subsections how I'm going to do it, make and match adjustments, work out X many hours a week, lift X many hours a week, stuff like that, specific things. Below that is academic goals.
Yeah.
Making sure that I'm not sacrificing one for the other. Both are important, and that's also a challenge. That also comes from the mentality that my parents instilled in me, where it's not just wrestling. I'm not just a meathead. I also need to be smart about what I'm doing and make sure that academics is important as well. Other than that, I just try to make sure there are little things that I like to do, making sure that I'm not just that miserable person who's always wrestling and always doing school. I need to relax a little bit, make sure I make time for myself. I do that through piano. I play piano. I do that, just reading and stuff, just hanging out with the guys on the team. So there's a balance there with those three things. They say the old joke is social, academic, and wrestling. Pick two.
Right.
I do pick two, and that's academics and wrestling. But I do need time to make for myself, some relaxation there.
Gotcha. Where do you see yourself in 20 years?
Ooh, 20 years. I honestly couldn't tell you. My life could go any which way. I do like school, though. I like engineering. My parents are doctors, though. They want to see me do the medical field. I could either see myself working in the engineering field. I could see myself coaching wrestling. I could see myself, finishing on med school and going and being a doctor like my parents. Any which way, I don't know. But I'm keeping my options open. I'm keeping my head clear, and I'm trying to make sure that no matter what I do, I enjoy it.
Nice. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I guess the last thing I was going to ask you is, you love the sport of wrestling. You're not quite sure what your future holds. Things will probably adjust depending on how the next 4 years transpire. Is there anything outside of the sport that you excel at? I mean, you mentioned you have yourself, you play piano, do other things, but is there anything that would tug you in a different direction besides what you've mentioned?
Not that I can think of, but life is funny. Life acts, or I guess the saying is God acts in mysterious ways, and life is the same way because of that. You never know. And dramatic events or not so dramatic events can pull me in either direction. So I can't predict them, but like I said, I'm keeping my head clear and my mind open to it, no matter what it is.
Okay. So when are we going to see you compete next?
So I guess that's last chance qualifier in a week and a half.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and we'll probably try and check in with you at the end of the summer.
All right.
Hopefully after France. Thanks.
Thanks so much.